One of the strangest things that's happened to me since my awakening is I've seemed to have lost motivation in a lot of the things that gave me excitement that really kept me going. And if you feel like after your awakening, you've lost your motivation in life, maybe your motivation with work, could even be motivation and energy in relationships, this video is definitely for you. And really what's happening, it's not really what you think. Okay? So a lot of times people will say, well, nothing resonates with me anymore, so I need to just change what I'm doing. I need to go to a new career or a new relationship, or maybe I've had people come to me in my coaching sessions talking about I just don't feel like I'm at home on this planet. I don't feel like I belong here. I have a spiritual depression and I don't feel like doing anything. I just am not motivated. And that's your soul's way of saying that it's just done. It's done trying to fit into the 3D mold. It's done trying to pretend that that is real, that that is normal. It is seeking something new, and it is holding space for you, the human you, to start to let go of all of those old things that conditioning and programming told you you needed to do. Okay? And for me, that was really a big challenge and a big part of my growth and a part of my shift was letting go from the programming and what society said I should be doing and gradually moving into a space of allowing, a space of being, and a space of really starting to lean into and take action on things that lit me up. You see, when you continue giving energy to things that no longer resonate, what happens is you just start to lose motivation. And that's because it's so hard energetically to sustain those old patterns, those old programs. It takes increasing amounts of energy. Well, realistically, it's always taken a ton of energy, but you were so conditioned to doing it because you were told and programmed that you had to do these things. Maybe for you, it was you had to go through the traditional route and go to school, then go to college, then get a career in something that maybe made a good amount of money that you could be successful financially at, but it never really resonated with you. That takes a lot of energy to sustain. And as you continue down that path, that 3D program path, you start to realize that you're really not fulfilled because you are not living to your soul's potential. You're not living from a state of alignment. You're living in accordance with programming. And the more you continue to do that, the more it just drains you, right? Then you start to awaken. You start to realize that that stuff no longer resonates with me. I'm going to open up to allow for a new path to come forward. But there's this gap in between that old and in between that new. And in that space, you are going to, before you know how you want to move forward with your new life, with the new you, you're going to have to let go of the old ways of being. And that's going to manifest really as a loss of motivation. You're going to find that, okay, I was doing all of these things or living from this 3D perspective out of pattern, out of habit. But now that I've awakened, I really don't feel it anymore. It no longer resonates, and I don't feel motivated. I don't want to go back to doing the old things that I used to do, but I'm not quite sure of what direction I want to move in from this new perspective, from this new awakened perspective. And that is a completely normal phase. Before we shift energy from old to new, we need to detach from the old. Okay? Otherwise, you're dragging it with you. You may find, oh, I don't like the career I chose. I'm going to jump into this new career, which I feel is going to light me up. And you're still attached to the old because it's the programming that actually caused you to jump into something new prematurely. Okay? Because you still have that programming that says, I've got to be out there busting it, working 80 hours a week and all those kind of things, right? You haven't really allowed for the slowdown to come forward energetically so that you can start to really gather yourself up and realize that, okay, I don't want to live life the way I've been living life for decades, and yet I'm not sure my path hasn't really started to unfold yet, but that's okay. I'm going to sit in this space of discovering myself and finding myself. And while I'm in that space, I'm going to fully feel all of that programming, all of that emotional energy that had me tied to that conditioning, all that stuff that's been stuck in my nervous system, keeping me stressed, keeping me anxious, chasing down the next paycheck, chasing down the next lead, chasing down the next step in my path so I could buy the next car or buy the bigger house or whatever it is. That's going to come up in the space of allowing yourself to feel it all, right? And you got to slow down sometimes to allow yourself to feel it. Because when you slow down, the programming is going to get louder and louder and louder. It's to say, we got to do something. Now, if you give into that program and you go off and you do something prematurely, you're going to find yourself really navigating the same path, that 3D path. It may look different. Maybe it's a different relationship. Maybe it's a different career. But sure enough, energetically, it's the same. You're doing it because the programming says you have to. So when you slow it down, you've awakened, maybe you're starting to connect with your guides, you're starting to feel some of that heaviness, you're allowing yourself to feel that heaviness because you've pulled away from the distraction of the programming enough to be able to have that presence, have that awareness, to be able to start to feel all of this underlying dense electrical energetic charge, right? And you could breathe with it. You could just hold the space. You can feel the conditioning. You could feel your ego. You could hear it say, we got to get back to work. We got to get back to work. We got to get back to work. But you're going to sit there and you just breathe with it and you allow yourself to feel it and you allow yourself to calm your nervous system down. That creates the beginning of a detachment from that programming. It's like reprogramming your operating system. You're leading your nervous system, your body, into a peaceful state of being. It's been tied up in anxiety for decades. You didn't know it because that was just the norm. But now that you've had this awakening, you've lost all motivation for the old, and you're not giving into the programming and jumping right into something new. What you're doing is sitting in that lack of motivation state, allowing yourself to feel all of that old programming that says, I got to constantly be doing, I got to find the next thing, allows your body to start to heal. It starts to release all of that old dense energy that's been tying you to those old patterns, to that old 3D reality. Your soul is holding space for a new 5D you to start to manifest, to start to come forward, but you can't get there without slowing it down, feeling that lack of motivation for the old, so that you could create space for energy, new energy, higher frequency light to land, and new motivation for something new to start to manifest. Now, you may not know what that is yet, and if you don't, that's okay. Sit in the unknown and allow yourself to feel all of that old programming, because as you do that, you are growing, you're expanding, you're healing, and creating space for that new path, that new purpose, that soul purpose, that real purpose to start to manifest. You have to create space in order to allow that to happen. So many people that I work with, that's one of the big things we work on, is allowing them to be able to learn how to sit in that space of unknown, being unmotivated, not sure of what they want to do next. That is absolutely okay, because as you sit in that space and you feel that energy, you're healing that energy. You're healing your nervous system. You're healing your body. You're getting dense energy moving. You're alchemizing all of it, and your vibration is rising. Okay? And when that happens, higher frequency light lands. You start to embody it because, again, you're holding that space. And new ideas start to come out of that space. They don't come from the old programming that says, I've got to keep doing things the way I've always been doing it. Maybe I'll just jump into a new job, but you carry the same energy with it, right? We don't want it to come from that. We want it to come from this spaciousness of, I'm okay with simply being, allowing, and not knowing. Yes, I'm unmotivated, but that is okay for the moment, because I want to find or discover my motivation for something that's in alignment with my higher self, with this new me that is landing. And in order for you to find that, you have to sit and release the old. That is so, so important. So many times people are just jumping from one thing to the next, and they're carrying that same energy with them. Yeah, maybe the circumstances look different, but energetically it's the same. They're still operating from that programming, from that anxious state of being, from the constantly chasing, and they're not in a state of allowing. So allow yourself to feel unmotivated temporarily. That is the doorway. That is the key to discovering what truly lights you up. Remember, you can't discover what truly lights you up if you're embroiled or tied up and your nervous system is just operating from the perspective of the old energy and old programming. You have to feel it. You heal it by feeling it. Feel unmotivated for a little while temporarily. That is absolutely okay. That is a normal part of this journey. I went through it as well. I was looking for different things to be doing. My old career as an accountant really was no longer resonating. Like, what could I do? What could I do? What could I do? And I finally slowed it down and just allowed myself to feel that lack, just change and motivation, right? From constantly trying to chase to leaning into just being and feeling that, right? The programming says you're unmotivated, but your higher self is saying, we're creating and holding space for the new you to land and the new purpose, your soul purpose, to start to manifest. That is absolutely a normal part of this phase of awakening. And if that's happening to you, lean into that and just know that the more you embody and embrace all of that energy that is rising up to be seen, to be felt, all of that old programming, you heal it and you become more of the new you. Your vibration increases. You start to tap into higher frequency realities. You start to connect with your purpose. You start to connect with your guides. You start to get energized because you finally become aware of what truly lights you up, what truly fulfills you, not from the perspective of having to stay busy and having to stay successful and having to chase everything, but being present and allowing for that to come through. If you are ready to take that next step in your journey, I invite you to join my free 5-day challenge, Break the Pattern, where I will show you over a 5-day period, give you tools and techniques to actually break those patterns that have been keeping you stuck in that 3D loop. So if you're ready to go ahead and join me in that free 5-day challenge, go ahead and click the link in the description and sign up today. Thank you.